Today we are going to discuss about the topic that's difference between monocot and dicot. Monocot and dicot, actually these are the two subclasses, subgroup of the angiosperm plant. Angiosperm, we have classified the living organism, and Dr. Carl Voice, he introduced three domains which is also called as super kingdom. One is archaea, one is bacteria, and one is eukaryota. In eukaryota there are four kingdom: kingdom animalia, kingdom plantae, and kingdom protista, kingdom fungi. So we are going to discuss the domain or super kingdom eukaryota. In that we discuss the kingdom plantae. In kingdom plantae we are going to discuss the sub kingdom embryophyta. In subkingdom embryophyta, we are going to discuss the phylum Trichophyta. In phylum Trichophyta, we are going to discuss the subphylum Pteridophytes. Subphylums, that's Pteropsida. In Pteropsida, we are going to discuss the class Felicania and their subclasses in Monocotyledonous and Dicotyledonous. So what is the difference between Monocotyledonous and Dicotyledonous? Remember one thing, rice, wheat, barley, these are the monocotyledonous plants, while the pulses, the beans, the grain, these are the dicotyledonous plants. Now what is the difference between monocots and dicots? In simply monocotyledonous plant, there is a single cotyledon. One cotyledon is present, while in a case of dicotyledonous plant, there are two cotyledon. If you remove the testa or tegments, the outermost cover brown coat of these seeds, so we observe the two cotyledons. That's called dicotyledonous plant. Then after, if we remove these two coat, testa and tegment, then we will observe the embryo, we will observe the cotyledon, and along with the cotyledon we will observe there is an embryo is present. So let's suppose that's the beans, that is the seeds of a bean. So we have removed the outer testa and tegments, and then after we have observed here the embryo is present, embryo is located. So when we open the seeds and observe the embryo, so one seed will be on one side and another seed, a cotyledon will be on another side. So there we have observed the embryo. In embryo, this portion is called the radicle, while this portion is called the plumule. So in the second difference among monocot and dicot, that's PTCL, memorize them with the PTCL, and dicot P plumule. This they're talking about, this plumule is terminal and cotyledon is lateral. So these are the cotyledon, that is the lateral side, that is the lateral sides. So cotyledon are lateral sides, while the plumule is in a terminal side. While opposite in monocotyledon, so plumule is lateral and cotyledon is terminal. Then next difference in monocot and dicot, that in monocot plant the primary roots soon persist and it gives rise to adventitious root. Adventitious roots are developed, those roots which comes out from the root, from the stem, that's called adventitious root. While in the case of dicot, the primary roots then soon after give it secondary root and tertiary roots, and highly advanced form of a root, it's called root tape roots, having a root cape. So highly a network is developed. After that, about the difference in their leaf. So the venation, as a rule, the venation that is parallel in case of monocot. So when we observe the leaf of the wheat, so we will observe that the veins are parallel to one another. This is called parallel venations, except Smilex, Sarsaparilla and Yams, they show the reticulate venation. Reticulate venation, that is the venation which is present in dicot. This type of venation is present. So that's present in the dicot. But except Alexandria lurals. Alexandria lurals are a calophyllum that is a dicot, but they show a parallel venation. Mean exceptional cases may occur. After that, in monocot, they have a trimerious, while in case of dicot, they have a pentamerious. Pentamerious. What does it mean by pentamerious? Mean 5 or multiple of 5. They have sepal and petals. So 5 or multiple of 5, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 25, maybe 30, and so on. So they are called pentamerious, multiple of 5. 5 or multiple of 5. In case of monocot, that's trimerious. They have 3 sepal or petals or multiple of 3, maybe 6, maybe 9, maybe 12. Next, we are going to discuss about their vascular bundle. So vascular bundle in case of this dicot, they are existent in a ring forms. They are collateral, open, and wedge shapes. Mean if we study, if we observe the stem and observe their vascular bundle, so that is considered to be the xylems. That is considered to be the xylem. Along with the xylem, there then a phloem is present. They have a phloem is present. So they have a phloem is present. So they are present in a ring form. Now they are in a ring forms, one thing. In their collateral side by one another's, and they are open, mean they are not closed over here. They are open. So they are considered to be open and wedge shape. They are talking about their shape. Existed around about 2 to 6. While in case of monocot, their vascular bundle, they are scattered, they are dispersed, and they are closed, and maybe 5 to 8. And next, monocot, they have a primary growth, while secondary growth is only present in dicot. What is secondary growth? After the completion of primary growth. After the completion of primary growth, the dicot plant have another tissue that's called meristematic tissue. So this meristematic tissue, they start to reproduce, they start to divide. So due to their division, so the growth may occurs after the completion of primary growth. So that's why the plant may increase their size, and it may increase in their length and width. So that's why secondary growth occurs in dicots. That's why they may be biennial or perennial types, while mostly monocots are annual, so single season plants. After that, we are going to discuss the benefits of angiosperm for humans. What are the benefits of angiosperm for the humans? Obviously, we are totally dependent, all the universe mean animal dependent upon the animals on this plant, mostly angiosperm. Why? Angiosperms are the fruit producing plant. So they produce fruits for the rest of the living organism. Second things, they also produce oxygen for the ecosystem. That's why dependent upon them. They also keep neat and clean the environments. They actually consume the carbon dioxide, so they protect from the global warming, increasing the temperature of the universe, and as well as they are used to be ornamental purposes, and always they are used as for the furniture, and there are a lot of benefits. But among them, some of the plant which is used as a medicines as well. For example, one of the plant that's called as cannabis. One of the plants called cannabis. The scientific name is called as Cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa, we discussed them in a pharmacology. So they are used for the treatment of sleeping disorder and glaucoma, eye infection, and as well as autoimmune disease. They can be treated through this cannabis when they are prescribed by the doctor. And second things, coca. Scientific name is called is erythroxylon coca. Erythroxylon coca. They were used in 19th century as a local anesthetic agent. Next one is called is daffodils, narcissus species. We extract galantamine hydroboromide. So galantamine hydroboromide, they are used to treat Alzheimer's disease. What is Alzheimer's disease? Alois Alzheimer 1909 discovered this disease that is due to the accumulation of beta amyloid protein in the brain. So it leads to the mental retardation. So that can be treated through this galantamine hydrobromide. Next one is called a deadly nightshade. Scientific name is Atropa belladonna. Atropa belladonna, we extract atropines. So that is used to relax the muscle of the eye and as well as stop muscle spasms. So when there is a muscle spasms happen, so that can be used to treat them. After that, we use Toxus baccata, common name Angiosperm, to extract toxols, and this toxol is used in a breast cancer. And then after Cinchona suruba, we extract quinine, and this quinine is used for the treatment of malaria. Malaria, that is a Latin word mala in area. Mala mean bed in area mean air. Initially, that time the people have thinking that they may be spread from the bad air, but later on it came into know that the malaria is caused by the Plasmodium, and that is spread by the female Anopheles mosquito. Then after we are going to discuss about the life cycle of angiosperms. You know that the flower is considered to be the reproductive organ of the plant. And this stalk of the flower, that's called the pedicel. That's called the pedicels. And this flat portion, that's called the thalamus. Thalamus is the flat part of this flower where they give rise to the different whorls. First whorl of this have a layer of first whorl, that whorl is called is sepal. Initially, this sepal, that is a green. It gives protection to the young bud. When the plants, when they grow, when the complete flower is produced, so this plant, then these sepals, they lost their photosynthetic pigment, and later on it's maybe falls down occurs. So it's also called as torus as well. The thalamus is also called as we also call them torus, thalamus. So this sepal, group of sepal, that's called as calyx. That's called as a calyx. Another layer that is colorful. Another whorl that is a colorful. This colorful whorl is called as the petals. Also called as corolla. The group of petals called as corolla. This corolla or petal, they actually attract insects and help in pollinations because they contains a chromoplast that's used for the color. Then after there is another layer, there is another whorls that is called as the stamen. That's called as the stamen or androecium, and is considered to be the male sex organ. That's considered to be the male sex organ. While in the center there is a female sex organ is present. So that is a female sex organ. So sepal, petal, stamen, and carpel. Also called as gynoeciums, and is considered to be the female sex organ. Now, after that, this stamen, that is the male sex organ, that's called the stamen. So stamen is consist of two parts. The lower stalk-like structure that is called is filament, while upper swollen part is called is anther. And this anther consists of, this anther contains the pollen sacs, which is also called as pollen bags. Why it's called pollen sacs or pollen bags? Because due to the presence of pollen grains. So pollen grains are produced here. So these are the pollen grains. So pollen grains are produced. and is considered to be male sex cells. If we observe the pollen grain, so the pollen grain consists of two layers. Outer layer is called exine and inner layer is called entine. Exine is made up of chitin, while entine is made up of cellulose. Inside there is a two type of cell. One is called a generative nucleus. One is called the generative nucleus, while another one is called as vegetative nucleus. So these are the two type of nucleus. Now this generative nucleus is also called as tube nucleus. This tube nucleus is used for the production of pollen tube. And this pollen tube is used to transfer the sperm into the female sex organ. Vegetative nucleus, later on it gave rise to sperm by the process of mitosis. With the process of mitosis, it gave rise to sperm. Then after, there is a female sex organ. So female sex organ consists of three parts. So that is the female sex organ. And female sex organ is actually, that's a corpel, and it consists of three parts. One is called as ovary, second one is called as style, and third one is called as stigma. Ovary, style, and stigma. Inside ovary, there is an ovule is present. And number of ovule depend upon the number of seeds in a fruit. So that is ovule. Each ovule is considered to be a 7-cell structures. Each ovule, they have 7 cells. So that is considered to be the ovule having 7 cells. So how these cells developed? Let's suppose we discuss in case of animals oogenesis in a female, there is a single oogonia is present. Oogonia or oocyte is present. Now this oocyte is divided into two. One is smaller and another is larger by the process of meiosis 1. Later on, it's again divided by the process of meiosis 2. So when meiosis second completed, it divided again, and with four daughter cells are produced. In these 4 daughter cells, these 3 are degenerated, and only one single cell is being lifted. But this single cell, in case of animals, this give rise to ova, egg. But here, it divided into 2 daughter cells by mitosis. Then after, it's again divided into produce 4 daughter cells by mitosis. Later on, it's again divided into total 8 cells are produced. So by 3 mitosis and 1 meiosis, total 8 cells are produced. Now let's suppose we are going to discuss this ovule. The wall of ovule is called as nucellus. The wall of ovule is called as nucellus. It's called as nucellus. Among them, a single cell that is here present, that is considered to be egg, ova, or considered to be oosphere, and is considered to be haploid. Then after, 2 of the cells, that is considered to be synergids. In these synergids, these are haploid in nature. After that, two of the cells, they fuse together and it form endospermic mother cell is formed. Endospermic mother cell. So this endospermic mother cell, that is diploid in nature, and the three which is left behind, these three are arranged here, which is called as antipodal cell. Antipodal cell. So these antipodal cells, which is haploid, in cyanogetes, they have no roles in fertilization process. When the pollen grains it's matured and reached on the surface of the female sex organ and stigma, fall down on stigma, and their outer layer, which is called as exine. So this exine ruptures, and then intines, so this has been extended and it will form a pollen tubes. So this pollen tubes have ability to transfer the two sperms over here. So these are the two sperms, and that is considered to be the pollen tube. That pollen tube has been synthesized. Now, one of the sperm comes and fuses with this egg or ova. Another sperm, this fuses with endospermic mother cell. So two sperms fuse together. That's why that's called is double fertilization. That's called a double fertilization. Now, in this case, when the sperm fuses with the egg or ova, they will form the zygote. Zygote, which is also called is oospore. From zygote, embryo is formed. Right? In this this structure will change into endosperms, and endosperm is considered to be triploid, and that's considered to be the store food for the embryo. And then this new cell is change into seed coat. They change into seed coat, while the wall of ovary, this wall of ovary change into fruit. It change into fruit. So that's why the fruit have the seeds, and seeds have their seed coat, testa and tegument, where the cotyledon is present, where the proper embryo is present. When the seeds they are cultivated in providing the suitable environment, then after that grow into a new plant later. But the seed is considered to be the fertilized and ripened ovules. And let's suppose if we observe the watermelon, there is a lot of seeds, and while in the case of mango they have a single, while in the case of apple they have a few seeds are present. So that's depend upon their ovules. While in some cases there are no seeds, just like you see seedless grapes. So that's known as this is called as a parthenogenesis. Without fertilization, that has been developed. Next topic we are going to discuss about the inflorescence. Inflorescence. One is called as inflorescence, and one term we used that's called is solitary flower. So this solitary flower, when there is a single flower is present on each pedicels, so that is called a solitary flower. So this type of flower is called a solitary flower. For example, rose. When there is a group of flower, when the group of flower are present and a single branch, that's called as inflorescence. But inflorescence we have divided into two types. One is called as racemose and another is called cymose. Racemose and cymose. What is the difference between racemose and cymose? In case of cymose, that the main branch soon complete its growth. When it's completed its growth, then it gives rise to the flower. When it's given rise to the flower, the new flower they develop from the base of the old flower. So here the new flowers are produced. So that's why these are the old flower that is present at the base, and that's a new flower. That is the new flower that's present in the base, while old flower that is present at the tips. That's in case of cymose. Cymose is divided into three types. One is called uniperious. One is called uniperious. Second one is called biperious. Uniperious, biperious, and third one is called the multifarious. Uniperious, biperious, multifarious. That's also called as monocacial. That's called the dicacials, and that was called the polycacials. So these are the three different types of the cymose. One is uniperious, biperious, and multifarious. What are the difference between them? In case of uniperious, when the main stalk of a flower soon after completing their growth and give rise to a flower, only a single flower is produced at the base. That's called uniperious. For example, begonia. That's an example. Another example, tradescantia. So tradescantia and begonia are the example of uniperious. In case of biperious, when the main stalk complete its growth and produce flower, so two flowers are produced at the base. That's called as biperious. Bi means two. And their examples, that is called as silene and apomia. These are the examples. While in case of multifarious, when the main branch completes its growth and more than two flowers are produced from the base, that's called as multifarious. An example is euphorbia. So that's actually classified on the basis of position of the flower, where the flower produced, and about their locations, about their existence. So uniperious flowers, so their example is begonia and tradescantia, and biperious silene, ipomia, and euphorbia. Now we are going to discuss about the example of this racemose. What is the difference between racemose and cymose? In cymose, we have discussed that the main stalk soon complete its growth, then it produces the flower, and other flowers are produced at the base, mean the new flowers are produced at the base. While in case of racemose, so in case of racemose, they actually, the main flowers, that's the main stalk continue to grow. The main stalk continue to grow and produce flower. So that's why the difference is that is now old flower. So old flower will be at the base, while the new flower that will be at the tips or apex, which is opposite to the cymose. So first example that is called is typical racemose. Typical racemose, that's a common racemose in which the main stalk continue to grow, and side by sides it's producing the flower as well. So that's an example of typical racemose. Second example is spike. Accordingly to the spike, the main part continuously grow. It produces flower, but here the flower are considered to be sessile. The flowers are without pedicels. The flowers are without pedicels. The flower are without pedicel. The stalk of the flower, that's called the pedicels. So here the flower are without pedicels. So that is called spike. Now coming toward the next one, that's called is catkins. Then third one is called is catkin. In case of catkin, the flower may be monoecious or dioecious. Mean monoecious, both male and female sex organs are present in the same plant, while here the flower are considered to be dioecious. Mean the flower may be staminate, having male sex organ, or it may be pistillate, having the female sex organs. So one is staminate and another is pistillate. So that's why they grow on a different, the male and female sex organ grow on a different flowers. That's called the catkin. Next one is called is corymb. What happened in corymbs? Accordingly to the corymbs, the old flower pedicels, their length is longer than the new. So that's why they all of them they are arranged in a same row. So the flower will be in a same row. The pedicels of the old flower is smaller than the pedicel is smaller than the old one pedicels. So that's why we can say that the pedicels of the old one is longer than the new one. So that's why that's all the flower are in the same row. Next one is called is that's called is umbel. Accordingly to the umbels, all the pedicels they are in a same row. So they are in the same row. The pedicels of all the flowers they are having the same length. That is called is umbel. While sixth one that is called is umbel of umbel. So this umbel of umbel also called is compound umbel. Umbel of umbel also called is compound. That's a group of umbel. Mean there are a lot of flowers, a branch of flowers, they are present on the same branch, but the flowers, the pedicels, they are of a equal length. That's called is typical, that's called umbel of umbel or compound umbel. Then after capitulums. Next one is a capitulums. Accordingly to the capitulums, the flowers are in a group, but they are considered to be sessile. Mean they haven't any pedicels and they are growing on the same group. So these are the various types of the inflorescence in case of racemose, and one that's called the panicles. Last one that's called the panicles. In case of panicle, that's considered to be the group of typical racemose. Panicles is considered to be the group of, that is considered to be the group of that is considered to be the group of typical racemose. So these are the various type of inflorescence. Coming towards their examples, first one that's called is typical racemose. Typical racemose example is that's called is a Acacia fistula or amalthas. For example, Acacia fistula, also called is amalthas. In case of fistula or amalthus, the main stalk continuously growing and they are producing the flower. On their lateral side, each flower has their pedicels. The old flower are at the base and new flower are at the tips. So that is the typical racemose. While in case of spike, that's called Acaranthus or Putganda. Acaranthus or Putganda. Acaranthus, also called as Putganda. So another one is called the bottle brush. So bottle brush or Acaranthus, that look like a typical racemose, but the flower are without a pedicel. The flower are without pedicels, so these are considered to be sessile. Then third one is called as Kitkin. In case of Kitkin, their example is the mulberry and willow. The example is mulberry and willow. So these flowers are considered to be dioecious. Male flower is separate than the female flower. So male flower is staminate and female flower is pistillate. And this Kitkin is just like the spike. I mean they are sessile or stationary. Then after corums, their example is iris or candy tuft. For example, candy tuft, also called as iris. In this case, the pedicels of the old one is longer than the new one. So that's why the flower are arranged in a same row. So after that, there is an umbels. In umber, the common example of umbel, that's called hydrocotyles or Brahmi booty. Hydrocotyles or Brahmi booty. So in this case, they are of the pedicels length is of equal. While in case of umbels or compound umbel, that's called as a carrot. While in carrots, that's umbel is existed in a group form. So next after panicles, mango, grapes and oat. Mango, grapes and oat. Mango, grapes and oat. So they are actually a group of typical racemose. When it's existed in a group form, that's called as panicles. While the last one, that's capitulums, that's for example sunflower. So sunflower, all the flowers are in a same row, that's without pedicels and sessiles, but it exists in the group forms. Vascular plant is a successful land plant. Why vascular plant is a successful land plant? Because they have highly developed their root system, and their root channel system is present. They anchor them in a soil. The roundabout 300 families of spermatophyta plants are present in seed producing plant, which has been classified into roundabout 12,500 genera, and they have 3 lakh species are present. In spermatophyta, means seed producing plants, they have around about 3 lakh species, 300 families and 12,500 genera. And the most important and economically important or the most successful and important of these plants belong to Gramineaceae of the grass family with 7,500 species. So these are the various types of the plants, land plants adapted to the environmental conditions. So wish you best of luck. Allah Hafiz.